accountability done right brings people to wholeness, and accountability done wrong can lead people in shame and hiding. And I think this is one of the major reasons why people have struggled in their relationship with God. We have to have the right voices. I want us to understand that accountability is absolutely necessary for a life, any life, a life in leadership, whatever you're doing in life, accountability is a very important part of it. So let's go ahead and read our text today. We're gonna be looking at Galatians chapter 6, verses 1 through 5 today, spending a lot of time on verse 1. Here we go. Brothers and sisters, if someone is caught in a sin, you who live by the Holy Spirit should restore that person gently. Everyone say gently. But watch yourselves, or you also may be tempted. Carry each other's burdens, and in this way, you will fulfill the law of Christ. If anyone thinks they are something when they are not, they deceive themselves. Each one should test their own actions, then they can take pride in themselves alone without comparing themselves to someone else, for each one should carry their own load. All right, so as we dive into this text today, we see that accountability is at the forefront. But if you've read these passages before, or maybe you've read them 100 times, I think it's very easy to skate past something very clear once you see it. But it's kind of hard to see at the very beginning. When you look at this, it seems like we're talking about a person caught in sin, and we are. But for the most part, all of these verses are dealing with the person's holding the person accountable, not the one who's fallen into sin. And the reason for that is because it's super important for you to have the right people speaking into your life when you fall down, when things get hard, or really in any area of your life. If you wanna have better fitness, if you wanna have a better business, if you wanna have better relationships, you need someone speaking into your life. People who have people speaking into their life in these areas accelerate those areas of their life faster than anyone else. Now, here's the thing. For some of us, we've been stagnant for a long time, and one of the big reasons for that, no one speaks into your life. No one says, you don't allow people to speak into your life. So accountability is not some luxury. It's actually an essential part of your spiritual life to grow, to mature, to become the person that God really wants you to be. And so here's our big idea for today. Without accountability, we become a liability. Without accountability, we become a liability. And so this is true in every area of our life. You know what? We are not just going to be accountable for the sake of being accountable. We're gonna be accountable for the sake of others in our life. Who you are in front of people really does matter, but who you are when no one else is looking matters even more. And I want you to understand that the reason we do this is not just for ourselves, because we are not the hero of the story, but a lot of people depend upon you. Your children depend upon you, your family depends upon you, the business people around you depend upon you. You and I have to show up in this world. The church depends upon you, right? We have to show up in this world in a way that makes a difference. We have to recognize that people are counting on us. And because of that, we wanna be the best versions of ourselves that we possibly can. We are not better than people, we are better for people in our life, right? So if you love the people in your life, we are going to be accountable in such a way that helps us move forward. So what does it look like? What does all of this look like? Let's take a look at it up on the screen. So what is accountability biblically, and what does it look like? Here we go. Biblical accountability is not about control. Everyone say, not about control. Now listen, you guys, I hear people all the time say, mega church pastors exhibit all kinds of control over their people. Where is this control? When is the last time I've controlled you? Listen, here's the thing. I want you to think about it for a second. The Bible should be the standard for all of our lives, right? We should, when we deviate from the scriptures, we should place ourselves under the authority of the scriptures. But control, I don't have any control over your life. If you don't like what I said, you're gonna go, I'm gonna go to Summit, and then you just leave, right? That's how that works, right? That's okay, that's fine, that's your prerogative, but biblical accountability, if that's true for me, that I don't have control, you shouldn't exhibit control over other people either. There is a form of accountability called command and control. Command and control accountability is the kind of accountability that swoops in when someone falls down and you go, here are the 5 things you did wrong, here are the 10 things you need to do now. Now, it might be helpful to talk about ways in which that person can have some boundaries around their life and some things that can change. But command and control accountability is this high-level flyover kind of accountability that really has no investment whatsoever. It's easy peasy, you're in, you're out, and then you dip. It's not what the Bible teaches us. In fact, we're gonna talk about how much the person holding the other person accountable is actually required to do in just a few minutes. But it's not about control, it's about community and about commitment. Community and commitment, these are the things that actually change our lives spiritually. It's not a bunch of rules. How many of you grew 10 times, 10x when a bunch of people piled more rules on you? None of us do. Why? We have the entire Old Testament to know that. By the time Jesus rolled on the scene, there were 640 something laws that every Israelite was required to follow, and none of them could. They couldn't even follow the 10, because the Bible teaches us that if you break one of the 10 commandments, you break them all. So our standard here is not pile more rules on somebody just to weigh them down. It is to have community with them, to have a commitment in them, and then mutual meaning you're speaking into someone's life who has asked you to speak into their life. It is grace-filled, truth-speaking, and growth-oriented. We have this house rule here at church, and one of the our house rules are like our core values, if you will. They're culture values is what they are. And we have one that's called grace-centered truth. That means that whenever you're gonna tell the person the truth about something, it's gotta be through the lens of grace, because that's what the Lord does with us all the time. But I want you to recognize the contrast to that is the command and control structure, which essentially is, now I need to tell you some truth in love. You know when someone says that, there's no love following it. They're about to blast you, right? With not necessarily even truth. They're just ready to tell you their opinion of the truth and what you need to do, and then they're gonna dip, and then they're out. It's not what we do. In fact, what often happens is when we have a command and control style of accountability, it causes the people that we're talking to suddenly feel shamed. And then from that point on, because no one likes to feel that way, they start hiding. They will never tell you the truth again. And so what we have here is mutual, grace-filled, truth-speaking, and we're growth-oriented. Our goal is to leave that person in the better situation with their entire life pointing at Jesus again, because they've fallen down, things have messed up.